The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 20th day of August, 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Teray Tull. And MPZ, my is with us today. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I wasn't supposed to be that excited, was I? Hi, Teray.
Hey, it's okay to be that excited. It's a good day today.
Yeah, my road dog, my home style, my left hand, my right hand. Yeah. Anyway. I ain't that excited. But anyway, Maya's back there.
Oh, the switch up is crazy.
Oh, I did that live, innit?
Yeah. Well, you know who else is coming back to the stage? President Barack Obama is taking the stage today at the Democratic National Convention.
You know what? You know what's crazy? Last night, I thought people were just BSing on what's it called? X Twitter when they said what's that VP Harris made a shock appearance. I'm like, shock appearance is DNC. But apparently the person who's running never appears on the first night. So it took me back to the PLP when David Brett was running against Curtis Dickinson and he spoke the first night. It took me back. I was like, Well, the positive for David Brett is that he won. So maybe that's a positive for VP Harris. But yeah, interesting
times. 2 returns today. Maya's back, and so is former President Barack Obama.
Yep. You know what? I like Maya's return a bit more. I'm just saying. She directly, supports and helps me. I'm not saying Barack can do nothing, but I'm just saying, Maya, but yeah. So real quickly, before we jump in, today is a very special day for me personally and professionally because it's my late mother's birthday. So this is the 3rd birthday without her. She would have had another birthday today. And interestingly enough, on this day, on her birthday in 2018, we pretty much went public with Bermuda Communications Group. And for those of you who don't remember, it was August 20th, 2018, when we went public and shared and launched pretty much the company, shared a conversation with former Bermuda Progressive Labor Party leader, Mark Bean. And remember, if you remember correctly, Mark Bean had been very quiet since his retirement from politics, since he left politics. And well, that was quite the conversation that got the island's attention. So yeah, this is an awesome day. Also, actually, my oldest niece, she actually starts a new school today because I think Bermuda Institute, I think they go in today or yesterday.
Good luck. Study hard, niece. If you're watching this, work hard, study hard. Is she going to primary school or high school?
Oh.
Wait, you said elementary school?
No, she's 11. What that means?
11, so she would be in primary school. I don't think you start high school until you're 14. So she'd be
I think middle school. They have middle school.
Oh, really? Still? Well, private school. Yeah, okay.
I think, look, why you go put me on the spot? No, look, this reminds me of when people used to ask me, oh, what's your sister majoring in? Sociology, English? And she was social.
I fear you're supposed to know that. If you're her brother, you're her older brother, you're supposed to know what she's majoring in.
The good Teray calling me out and stuff. I'll find out. But yeah. August 20th. What a day. Anyway, greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the Commissioner of Police, Darrin Simons, onto the show. Always a pleasure having the good folks from the Bermuda Police Service on. The daily players will remember when. All I'm going to say to you is the question today is related to the Bermuda Police Service. So everyone get your thinking hats on. The daily play today has something to do with the Bermuda Police. So this is a Bermuda trivia question. All right. So if Teray doesn't get it, someone in the audience, I hope you do.
Speaking of getting things, Jamel, Sandra's in the comments saying, I hope I get that energy when I return.
I don't even know who she is anymore. Oh. No. No, I can't call out on that because then she'll call me out. I was about to say it takes her 10 days to respond to me via WhatsApp. Then she'll be like, no, you were the last. Yeah, I can't call her out. I take that back, Sandra. I take that. I take that.
Cool.
You're damn right. I'm gonna be excited because you've been going like 5 months anyway. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Real quickly, before we get to the news break, then bring the commission in, I just want to ask real quickly. I just want to do a roll call, make sure everyone in the audience is fine. Did everyone make out okay from Ernesto? We can't move on because I'll tell you, Bermudians, I'm not going to say we're crazy. I'm not going to say we're blast lucky. We're just a unique group of people, man. I mean, the way we bounce back from a hurricane, we should be unbelievably thankful to those who came before us for the infrastructure, the thought to put together. I mean, you saw that house getting swept away in Cape Hatteras. You saw it online, folks. Again, thank your ancestors that Bermuda doesn't have to do that. But anyway, folks, let us know how'd you make out during the hurricane? Charles has got jokes. 2 youngins on TDH. Are you feeling ill, Jamel? Yeah, people in their 20s, Charles. I mean, my goodness, I was finished high school by the time these young people was born. I tell you, don't try to put me in the same boat as you, bro. Don't do that this morning. Awesome Tuesday, Jamel and Teray. Missed you yesterday. Welcome back, Maya. Happy birthday, Jamel's mommy in heaven. Congratulations, Mark. Being private school is different. Suzanne, I actually read that as I probably pretended you said it. Mouthful. I love that. You got all of that out. Have a great day, Jamel. Thank you, Rick Olson. And Suzanne Ingham says, we all fine. Ernesto is gone. I'm happy. All right. Well, let's bring in Hurricane Maya. I'm just saying, her, Sandra, Sherry, all of them, when they leave, they know how I am. So they had to throw Teray, say, Teray, we need you to go and help control Jamel. Because when it's nobody there, he gets out of hand. So it's Uncle Jamel today, Gary. I'm as old as you too. Let's bring Maya in. Is she ready to come in early? I want to bring Maya in because we've got a lot to talk about as well as the news break. And then again, we're going to bring the commissioner in. Folks, get your questions ready because today's conversation is really about how we, the public, can engage the police more, how we can create build a better and safer Bermuda. It's going to take all of us, but I really hope you engage and that you have an understanding of the part that you play. All right, let's bring Maya Palacio in for Daily Hour News Break. And stick with us.
Good morning.
Hey.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back. It's been a long, like 3 weeks and a bit, I think it's been. I don't even know.
It's been a month or something. Yeah. I mean, almost
Okay.
as long as in Sancha. Yeah. This is uncalled for. Yeah. So tell me, Maya. Did you miss us?
Yeah. I did. No, I missed the Daily Hour. I missed being able to watch it. Truthfully, the hour difference was very crazy as well. 5-hour difference being in Paris versus Bermuda. So getting knowing when you guys are coming on, I think it was at 1 p.m. my time. And I was just like, obviously that's like the meat of the day. So I never really got to watch live. It was only probably twice that I got to watch live the show.
So this is the first time. This is a historic day on the Daily Hour. This is the first time that we've had 2 people hosting the show who have actually been in the same city. That is not Bermuda, right?
Oh, period.
You were in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I just thought of that. I'm sorry. But I want to ask you this because you're both in Canada, and I don't know if Toronto's like this, so forgive my ignorance. But Maya, did living in Canada prepare you for France? You know, they speak French there, right?
Well, they don't speak French like that in Toronto. In Montreal,
Yeah.
sure,
Oh, okay.
or like Quebec, I think. But yeah, no, not in Toronto. So no, I didn't know a lick of French, and I thought I might be able to make by because I knew some Spanish. But their accents, I was like, never mind. But thankfully, Couture, chef de mission, she speaks French, and then we also had Etienne, who's also Bermudian, goes to school in Toronto too, or in Canada, I believe Toronto as well, and he is fluent, so he was there as like a linguist to like assist us and help us throughout it. But mostly everyone there was bilingual, could speak many languages, so it was quite easy to get by. And this was all inside the village. Once you step outside the village, it was a bit of a different story, like obviously, but still, a lot of people knew English. And they weren't as mean as I heard that French can be mean if you don't know English. So I was like, English, and they're just like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay.
Well, it was the Olympics, so I think they were on their best behavior. That too.
Yeah, I did hear that the French were pretty mean if you don't know English. Like if you go there, you should know it. But you know, I mean, as Tori said, they're like, look, we're being welcoming for 2 weeks. You know, let's be nice. Yeah. Did you like get to meet anyone? Is famous still the word to use?
You can still use famous. Okay, so I saw Snoop Dogg, which was really awesome. Like I was coming out of one of the venues, we're waiting for the TX, which is like one of the assigned cars if you have like a pass that I do, because I have pretty high regulations. So we were able to get cars to and from places. And when I was there, he like came down the steps. He was literally like 3 feet away from me. And I was like, I definitely said his name. I definitely geeked out a little bit, and he like thumbs up me, and I got a video of it, and I was like very geeked about that. And literally 2 minutes before he even came down, it was Simone Biles that actually came down first, and she had a cast over her ankles. This was after she had already done her competition, and I got to see that as well in person. I got some photos of that, which is really cool on my camera of watching her compete, and that was sick. That was amazing. So a lot of the Jamaicans, I never got to see Shelly-Ann Fraser Price because I don't know why, but I didn't get to see her. But Jamaica was like right next to us, and I never saw her. I saw a lot of Noah Lyles. Obviously, his girlfriend is Jamaican, so he was around our area a lot. And then Serena Williams also came by. A couple of the team did see her. I didn't get to see her. I was so upset. But she was actually sitting behind them in the cafeteria eating, and they didn't even know that she was there until afterwards. They were like, "That was Serena Williams." I was like, "Yeah," which is cool.
So I must ask, did you feel like Shaquille O'Neal when you saw Simone Biles?
She is small. I mean, seeing her come through and then seeing Snoop Dogg come through, I was like, the height difference is crazy.
On Snoop, I'm being serious asking this because you know who we're talking about, the D-O-double-G. Did he have a joint in his hand, and was he high?
No.
Good, because you can't be going representing. Come on, Snoop, now, come on.
He was having the time of his life in the Olympics, man. Everyone was loving Snoop, man.
Yeah, I was just hoping that he didn't get arrested for having some illegal substance, because you know Snoop, he's got to have his fix, you know. So, and they test athletes, and he was a fake athlete. I was looking out for a brother, but no, honestly, I did my best to follow I really did. The time difference was tough because I remember, no lie, he's Bermudian. He lives in Dallas. I woke up like 4 a.m. He's like, "Oh, Flores, da da da." I'm like, "Flora racing this early?"
3 a.m. Bermuda time, yeah.
Yeah, I was quite up. I honestly was very upset with that. I couldn't express my disgust that I did not get the events down. I did hit a few people up who were at the Olympics, because Maya hasn't told you all, but Maya, how many times did I bother you while you were there?
Just twice.
Twice? 0? I mean, once. Give me once. Just once. Once. Okay, thank you. I mean, twice, but once. But saying that, I try not to bother for anything, but I did ask a couple of people there, former athletes, about the scheduling, because I could not find the scheduling for events, and it still didn't help me.
You could have asked me that. I would have just sent you the link that was posted on the BOA socials that you probably didn't even follow.
I do follow. I just have a hard time going on social media.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, enough. She's putting me in trouble. So anyway, what else? Come on, did you get me anything?
I got you something that I will eventually mail to you, I'm sure. But as you know, people like, well, if you might not know, but honestly, trading pins is very common in like sports arenas. Like even when I did it for Bermuda field hockey, like after a game, you shake hands, you trade pins when you do international competitions. So it was a big thing in the Olympics, trading pins. And when we first got there, we got these huge bags of pins, Bermuda pins. And when I tell you, Bermuda pins were like currency in Paris. Like if we needed help with something, people are like, you have pins? I'm like, what can you do for me? Can you assist me with this? Can you help me with that? And then get a pin. And this is the Bermuda pin right here.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh, that's pretty.
Everyone wanted this pin because it was pink. It was a triangle. Everyone wanted this pin. And there came a lot of times when like a lot of the same countries kept asking. I was like, I'm sorry, I already have your last pins. And they're like trying to find different pins to trade with you. Like it was that serious. It's yeah. Bermuda pins are like currency. This pin, the refugee pin, was another one. Any small nation, truly, everyone wanted those type of pins, but this was definitely a keeper.
Well, Teray, are we going to like LA 2028?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Somebody who knows Snoop Dogg and them now, so we should be good.
And Simone Biles and Serena Williams and them. We're in.
Let's do it.
Honestly, the whole thing was quite an experience. I keep telling everyone who asks me, like, it was a beautiful challenge because the days were super long. I swear the first 3 days I was out there, felt like I was there for a month. I was like, wow, I am exhausted. I probably had every day was like 25 to 30,000 steps a day because it was just like that much going. And then you got to remember, I have to edit at night. So it was like a lot of no sleep, but trying to get things in at the same time. It was an exciting experience.
Well, some elderly fella in the audience, Charles H. Jefferson II, says, I still have my pins from trading during the 96 Olympics before Maya and Teray were born. My goodness.
You know me too. Yeah, I'm 97.
Yeah, we appreciate the elderly folks tuning into this show. We do, because I mean, I didn't even know trading pins was a thing in 96.
Brian Wellman still had his pins from when he competed as well, and he was like showing them off at the games. I was hilarious. He is a very entertaining man. I'll tell you that, Mr. Wellman.
All right. Well, let's get on that roster, Teray. 2028. No, you'd probably be premier by then. I don't know if she'd be able to travel with. But anyway, what?
Let's go. No, let's make the plan. I'm so down. I love California, and I have family in LA. So listen, if we can't get a spot in the village, my auntie can host us.
Premier Toll is got our back, audience. All right, let's do it. MP, I know you got a lot of news for us today, don't you?
I'll try to keep it short and concise for you, yeah.
What you got for us? Give it to us.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by the good people at People's Pharmacy. So starting out, let's just do a quick recap about Hurricane Ernesto and how everything's going and what the minister's been saying.
I am happy to inform all of Bermuda that because of our community's commitment to being prepared and staying safe, Bermuda made it through Hurricane Ernesto without any injuries or major incidents.
The minister reported that as of yesterday, Monday, the island is now fully operational. The only main mention of concern was that there is considerable work being done on Orange Valley, and the public is advised to avoid this area until further notice. As for the Balco outages, we are still at a little over 2,700 customers without electricity as of 5:05 a.m. this morning, August the 20th. Ernesto was definitely a surprise for many with the considerable amount of downpour rain it brought upon Bermuda.
Is that John Smith Bay? I was asking in the group. That's John Smith Bay, right? That's
John Smith Bay. Mm-hmm.
Oh. So is there any sand left on the beach?
That's a good question, you know. I mean, it always ends up coming back and getting back there. But it is interesting after a hurricane, you go on the beach and the dunes of sands and the way that, you know, Mother Nature just takes it away is quite something.
You know, after Hurricane Fabian in 2003, if I'm not mistaken, audience, correct me, Premier Alex Scott, or was it not Alex Scott? It was Premier Dame Jennifer Smith. Anyway, the leadership of Bermuda, I remember the UK was offering to assist because that's what they do to territories. And the government turned them back, if I'm not mistaken. No, it might have been Alex Scott. He might have just become Premier. He turned them back. And then when the One Bermuda Alliance was government in 2014, and there's two hurricanes struck Faye and Gonzalo back to back, of course, they welcomed the UK. Why do I share that? someone hit me up yesterday and reminded me of what Alex Scott said back then. They said, I hope this is a reminder for Bermudians about self-determination and self-sufficiency. We are self-governed. We are self-run. That's independence. Only when the OBA was government and those hurricanes happened, if I'm not mistaken, they said, they allowed the British to assist. I love the fact that we do what we need to do without outside help. It's proof. It's proof. I'm not saying everyone should be a fan of independence or an independent Bermuda. What I'm simply saying is when you actually consider and think about what independence means, Bermuda has been operating as an independent country for a long time. The only thing that really happens if we get signed off by the governor for everything that we pass through. I understand the benefits of living in the UK and former benefits of the EU. I get it. But if you have someone, maybe a Sir John-like figure who can negotiate like he did with the US back in the day, no visa travel, all that stuff, that can negotiate with the UK, we probably won't lose much. But as Sancho's always saying, it's about having the right people in the rooms to have the conversation. I'm sorry, I ran off, but that's me.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. Just what you said is all we needed to hear. Well, in more Ernesto news, you might have heard this, but it's pretty exciting for a family as baby Sarai was born in the eye of Ernesto. So unlike most of the island, mother Stephanie Bailey was preparing for more than just Ernesto on Saturday. Mrs. Bailey and her husband Keenan welcomed the birth of their baby girl, Sarai Bailey, at 8 a.m. Now, Sarai is a new sister for their 18-month-old Caden. Stephanie and Keenan were at home when Mrs. Bailey's contractions actually started around 4 a.m. This is 4 days ahead of when the baby was actually due. She said, thankfully, the contractions started just as the eye of the Hurricane Ernesto was coming over, so the winds had died down. Even though we lived close to the hospital, however, we had to navigate roads blocked with trees to get in. I was surprised at how fast Sarai was born, just 4 hours after contractions started. Now, Mr. Bailey even remarked that Sarai was born so quickly that she was here before he even got back to the hospital, before dropping off their son Caden to his mother's as well.
Congratulations to the couple. I wonder if this goes down as the baby's first hurricane or not. Did the baby experience the first hurricane or?
Yeah, I mean, it was born 8 a.m. on Saturday. Hurricane came a little bit around noon, just in the eye. So she got to feel the effects, I'm sure, a little bit.
I wonder if she wants to go back inside her mom's belly now then. I'm just saying, hurricanes can be scary.
I'm sure they can be, first experiences. All right.
Charles has a valid question real quickly. How many babies were made during Ernesto? This is PG, Charles. This is a morning show. Come on.
I don't know if we could speak to the validity of that question. All right. So in other news, in July of 2024, the Progressive Labour Party addressed the One Bermuda Alliance for their remarks on the retirement of Deputy Premier Walter O'Ban, stating that the soon-to-be retired Deputy Premier will complete his term. And unlike the OBA's retirement of Michael Dunkley, they will not lead to a, quote, costly by-election. Well, those words are kind of now in void as the Parliamentary Registry announced that the by-election for constituency 36, Sands North, will be scheduled for October the 4th due to the resignation of PLP MP Kathy Lynn Simmons. Now, let's talk about cost. Jamal, do you know how much a general election costs in Bermuda?
I don't.
I don't know either. Maybe just under 100 grand.
A general election.
A general election?
Yeah.
It's got to be millions. It's got to be millions.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about a by-election?
A by-election, maybe 30 grand, maybe 30, 40 grand.
Okay, that's a really good guess. I'm going
to say a by-election is about 60, 70 grand.
All right, cool. Let's listen into the story.
In 2020, Minister Furbert spoke in the House and announced that the 2020 general election cost $692,698. The 2020 general election was the pandemic election, and 25,760 persons voted on the day, and 4,411 persons voted in advance, totaling 30,171 votes, or about $23 per voter. Around the same time, in an article by the Gazette, former Premier Cananer, who was the OBA party leader at the time, made mention that a by-election was about $30,000. Now, due to not finding the exact estimate cost of the 2024 by-election for C10 and not receiving an answer before today's story, let's use $30,000 to assess the cost per voter. In the 2024 by-election, 1,275 persons were registered to vote and only 574 showed up to vote. So the cost of the by-election is estimated to be about $52 per person. And if you want to use the figure from the 2020 general election of C36, where 730 people voted, making it about $41 per voter. So according to these figures, a by-election costs more per person due to a much smaller voter turnout, and a general election costs nearly 22 times more than a by-election.
So you know what I found fascinating? I'm gonna show like Maya literally, without trying, just exposed hypocrisy of Bermuda politics just now. If you were paid attention to what she said from the jump, right? One complaining about Michael Dunkley resigning instead of waiting to a general election, whereas now Darrin Simons, former AG, is doing the same exact thing Michael Dunkley did. So it's exposing the hypocrisy, right? That's all I see with Democrats and Republicans in the US. Like, I literally sit back and just laugh. Like, this is why I cannot literally be a part of any political party, because you have to defend the hypocrisy of both. Like, I saw like Republicans complaining about something at the DNC yesterday. Can't remember what it was. And I'm just like, that's the exact same thing that you guys did a couple weeks ago at the thing. And I just don't get it, because for me, I don't like any of you people enough. And I'm talking about anybody to lie for you. I'm not going to jail for you. I'm sorry. I'm not what they call it? A Don ass brother. What they call it? I'm not. So why do people, the hypocrisy, like it's interesting that someone can get out there and call out the other political party about a by-election and then do the exact same thing with a month. But we accept it.
Well, here's the thing. That's the question that was coming next, is just knowing this and knowing that, this will be the second by-election for 2024. Would you have preferred your tax dollars to go toward a general election, or are you better with it being a by-election?
You can general me.
All right, there you go. Well, closing out, let's talk about some sports right now, because the under-14 boys Bermuda football team is currently dominating in their Group C of the Caribbean Football Union Challengers Series in Trinidad and Tobago. So just for a little highlight, in 2022, the team that did go out there for the UFC Challengers had 2 wins and 2 losses. Now, this 2024 team is currently undefeated in their rankings right now. So here's a quick glimpse of just what they've been doing and what they've been getting up to right now. They've had 4-0 wins, 5-0 wins, 10-1 wins, which was quite a game for Lightbourne and Wolf, because they both got hat tricks. And then the recent one, 1-0 against St. Lucia. So I spoke with Coach Vashon yesterday and asked about their game against St. Lucia, which probably was their most intense one because of how close it was. But Captain Jennings hit that beautiful goal at the end. I mean, it was amazing to watch. I mean, what did that feel like in that moment for the team when they came off? Because they had some 10-1 wins, and this one was a pretty close one.
Yeah.
What emotions going on?
Atmosphere within the group was really good, obviously, to win the game that late. I think the benefit of that game, of course, we would have preferred to have won it a little bit easier, but it now gives the group a reference of some resilience. If it gets difficult, we know we've been in that situation before, so we can do it again. So while we would have preferred to have won it much sooner and more comfortably, in hindsight, it isn't a bad thing that it went the way that it did. And now gives us a reference, as I say, when we get into similar situations.
Now, this also being the team's first international type of getting to play internationally, because they're under 14s. This is the first time out there doing all these things, having these great experiences. So the coach actually talked a little bit about what that effect has been on the team.
I think they're also enjoying the detail of international football. And by that, I mean all the pre-match routines that are required. They have to get their numbers checked, their nails checked for length, their boots, their shin pads. Everything's on a countdown. You have to be out of the changing room at a certain time. The experience of getting picked up on a bus, and when you get off your bus, the media presence that they're taking pictures of you. So they're definitely enjoying all that. You probably would have noticed, when they score the goals, they found where the cameras are. So they're running towards the cameras and doing all the little celebrations and stuff, and sort of mirroring what they see on TV and the people that they look to emulate.
Hey,
Meals measure?
Yeah, that was actually, I did not know about that one. When you said that, I was like, I did not know they actually have to check your nails. I remember in hockey, I know we had to not have beads and stuff in our hair. So I remember having to cut that off a day before competition. That irritated me. But but yeah.
Well, I want to say this. I've watched all, but yeah, I missed yesterday's game because no one told me that it was, again, time difference. You got to let me know time difference, folks. I mean, you messed me up with the Olympics and all this. Yeah, I'm not taking accountability for that. But anyway,
Nothing apparently.
I want to give props to former president of Somerset Cricket Club, Vashon Blanchett, for he's doing a job with these young fellas. But I also said, I said it to Maya privately, and I'll say it publicly. We have to keep things in context, right? Because we as Bermudians love to build people up, and these are young. They're boys, right? And they're, I'm glad that the game yesterday was a bit closer. Right, as he said, put him in a position, pressure, resilience. But let's be honest, we have the regional powers, the Jamaicas, the Trinidadians, the Costa Ricas, right, the Haitis, right. When they go up against that opposition, don't leave them and start criticizing the coach and talking about their attitudes, this and that. When you're hyping them up right now, right, you have to work. These are young people that we have to support to ensure that they stay the course. We're losing too many young black boys that are going astray. And many of them, let me be very clear in saying this because I coach some, many of them had the same, if not more talent than what you saw with these boys. So let's get behind them. And when that day does come, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and be like, this is all going to be gravy. They're going to keep winning. No, there's going to be setbacks. But as a country, let's stop building people up and then pushing them aside as soon as they face some sort of adversity. So that's what I want to encourage the general public to do. Stay behind them.
Yes, and football is really important to me, as you know, Jamel, because we talked about it when you were in Toronto. My grandpa used to play, my mom used to play, I used to play, and my sister was actually the goalkeeper for the Bermuda national squad when they had, I think a 20-0 loss, and, she got battered. And I remember, just feeling so disappointed in Bermuda because they really just did not support the girls. So yeah, everything Jamal said, support them, and then when they struggle, support them even more. Because challenge is a really important part of it.
Seeing that, I'll tell you what, without Maya bringing so much attention to the girls' football, I guarantee you, I would not know. I'm gonna be real with you. So I appreciate that you saying that and Maya doing that. But I also want to jump in and stake claim. That's my boy, Ziani Jennings. All right, that's my boy. Hit that rocket. That's our boy. I got to get some prep.
Yeah, Captain Jennings, man, he did amazing out there. I got to speak to the coach even about the choice and how he picks the captains and how the team feels about, each player and the camaraderie that they have right now. And he again, spoke a lot to what you said, Jamal, and just the fact that this group of guys that they're with right now, most likely will be their group of friends for the rest of their life. Future godfathers and best men, whatever. This is who they're going to grow up with and be associated with. So it's a big thing to get behind them as a unit as well as they continue to do better. And just a little bit more reference to the 2022 team, like you mentioned, Jamal, they're playing different nations than what they're playing right now in their group. So it is different on those ends. They probably did play them again in the CONCACAFs for the under 15s, but in this specific challenger, yeah, they're playing different nations than what they were playing. So they're headed to the semis. We still don't know who they're going to play against yet, but that's going to be on Friday as well. So we'll look and give more information on the show as to when that's going to be and who they're going to be up against.
Yeah, just remind me at the time, please. I have issues.
I'll remind you of the time. And just closing out, just one more thing from the coach about how they're going to prepare for these semis.
We're confident, but we're also, approaching it with humility and respect and an understanding that the game is played on the field. So, like I said earlier, we're just focusing on our processes so that we can be as prepared as possible come Friday to give ourselves a good chance of performing well.
Indeed. How's the weather looking?
So the weather today is looking pretty decent. I mean, it's going to be a cloudy start, a few showers, but we should have a bright afternoon. It'll look like a high of 85 degrees. Humidity is most likely going to be there too. So, just be wary of that and what type of hairstyle you plan to have going out there in today's heat and mild little bit of rain there.
I ain't got no problems up here. Don't worry. So, Ray, what you got for days of the year?
So today is National Bacon Day. It might be a little late for breakfast, but all the bacon lovers out there celebrate.
Bacon.
Bacon.
I thought she meant
Me too. I thought she meant bacon. You meant
No, none of that. Bacon, like National Bacon Day. BACON.
You eat bacon, Teray?
I do not.
You eat bacon, man?
The veggie one.
I don't eat the pig bacon. I ain't had that since the night. I mean, I can't ask what I was going to ask you then. I was going to ask you what you like bacon on.
I can't remember the last time I had bacon, even the veggie one. Oh, that's a lie. I had it when I was in Paris. They had a veggie one in the halal section, and I had about 3 of those.
Okay. I'll have
It's also good though. So even though I don't eat it, I always love when somebody cooks it because it smells so good.
Really? It makes me want to throw up. I can't take the smell of it. Honestly, I can't. No disrespect to people who love bacon. I mean, folks, what do you like your bacon on? You like your crispy bacon? Let us know. Let us know. And Peasy, we'll see you soon. We'll see you. Yeah, we'll see you soon.
You'll see me tomorrow.
I'm soon, are you?
Huh?
Nothing. Have a great day. See you soon.
Bye.
Maya Palacio, folks. If you're happy to have Maya back, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break. We've got the police commissioner. He's stuck around. He's hanging around with us. Really important conversation coming up. Make sure you are tuned in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 1 minute, 57 seconds. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Micro Loan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Summer is almost here. Dive into the season with dog floats and dog pools. Enjoy 20% off West Paws dog floating toys and shop our life jackets for safety in the water this summer. Get all your summer needs before the holidays and events begin. Don't forget to stock up on poo bags and check out Dicky Bags, the poo bag holder that locks in the smell until you can dispose of it. Remember, even dogs need sunblock, so visit Noah's Ark today, Bermuda's most trusted animal supply store for all your summer essentials, and ask us about our rewards program.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Teray Tall. I'm Jamel Hart, and it's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Wells, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Just want to just send a lot of love out to the family, friends, and the St. George's community due to the loss of former Member of Parliament, Kenny Bascom, who passed this past weekend. So had the privilege of speaking with Mr. Bascom on many occasions. He was a lover of all things St. George's, but also Bermuda as a tourist destination. Definitely going to be a void down in the St. George's community, but again, grateful for his contribution to Bermuda and sending as much love as possible to the St. George's community. Before we bring the commissioner on, I just want to share, we have the most unbelievable comment. Teray, please, Teray, tell me you saw this comment. Charles just said, I love bacon, the real stuff, especially on a veggie burger. If that's not irony, what is, Teray?
You know, he is hilarious because he was also in Toronto earlier this year, and I was trying to take him to Planta, which is where I took you. He's like, no, I don't eat that veggie stuff. I eat real meat. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm just hoping the commissioner's not a irony person like that. I mean, Charles, we're not talking to you anymore. We're good. Look, let's give a warm TDH welcome to the Commissioner of Police, Darrin Simons. This guy. Good morning, Commissioner. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to Bermuda. I am a fan of bacon. I have had occasion to spend some time with Mr. Jeffers, and he is quite an interesting individual.
But Commissioner, okay, you're not gonna have your bacon on on a vegetable burger, like a veggie burger, a vegan burger.
Well, I wouldn't really be having a veggie burger. I'd have to be ill to be having it under some special restricted diet to have a veggie burger. Like, it just feels unnatural, right? You put veggies, like you cut them up on a plate. They're not in a burger. But I do appreciate that there are those that might enjoy that.
There you go. There you go.
Or feel compelled.
Charles is so special, but Commissioner, thank you so much for making the time. Thank you to the Bermuda Police Service for always making the time to have these conversations with us. Look, we had Assistant Commissioner Daniels on last month, which was a very engaging conversation, helpful conversation. And what I really appreciate is when people reach out afterwards and have things that they wanted to add or things that they took away, like I didn't know this, or I'm grateful for that conversation. But some of the hot topics in Bermuda right now involving police have been the numbers. It's been reported. You've spoken about it previously. What is the current state of the Bermuda Police Service as far as numbers? And what is the adequate number that's needed for the service to operate in Bermuda?
So I believe with some recent resignations, it's quite possible that we've dipped below 360. 360 is the number, and I appreciate it can fluctuate, a little bit, but 360 is the number, but I think we've actually dipped like 358, 359. And I actually took the view that the public need to know, and it really was against the backdrop of being constantly asked to be seen, to be more visible. Where are the police? Where are the police? Where are the police? We want to see more of the police. And against that background, I decided to just share the story that, look, there's a lot less of us than we've had in previous years. Therefore, you don't see us. What is an adequate number? That's an interesting question. And it's actually a bit of a complex kind of answer, because fundamentally, in order to say what is the number, you really have to decide and agree on what are the range of services that you want the Bermuda Police Service to provide. Without sort of getting into the detail or the debate of that, I would say that 420 is a good number to be at, and 400 would be at the absolute minimum of where we need to kind of deliver services. Once the organization drops below 400, everyday policing just looks different. Certainly inside the organization, you feel the pressure of trying to respond to the overwhelming amount of demand when you drop below that number. And one of the key things is you really lose the ability to what I call surge. So there, you often see us in the aftermath of a significant incident that we surge our level of patrol and the numbers that we might have out on the street. And that's because we obviously, in the aftermath of a significant incident, we've got some investigative actions that need to occur. But also, in fact, it is about just bringing community confidence and reassuring the community. So our presence, unlike in maybe some other jurisdictions, provides a significant element of reassurance to the community. And when you drop below 400, our ability to surge is significantly impacted.
Indeed. Last week, I kind of aged myself with Teray. We were talking about the story that was in the paper regarding the reserve cops. And I was just asking, let's remember, when you had the police school on Bishop Spencer and the cadets used to march through, that area of Bermuda, through Pembroke and the like. And obviously I was very close to it because I had I had quite a few cousins that were cadets, and one who retired this year and another one who's nearing retirement. But back then there was so many numbers. The numbers were just huge in terms of them marching through, like up Point Hill and down through Palmetto Road. I don't know if it's like that anymore. Obviously, I'm not present, but it seems to be we just don't attract the same numbers. What is the greatest challenge with recruiting new officers in 2024?
So I think our ability to attract numbers is about. I think it's been about the same for quite a while. So I would say that we have the ability to. When I say we get lots of applications, but we just don't get the quality of individual that can get through the testing. So we may get over, I don't know, 150 applications, and when that number finally gets down to bums on seat in a training course, it's usually around that 15 number. So every course we run, we generally have the ability to attract about 15 people per course. We would like to be able to run at least one course a year, sort of given the attrition rates because of COVID, in particular, 2 years of not recruiting against ongoing attrition. It just put us in a deeper hole that we're right now trying to get out. So I think if things are normal, without the impact of COVID, without the budgetary constraints that recent budget years have sort of brought in the police, or keeping our numbers at 400 or lower, we would be able to meet our needs without going overseas. Right now, we're in a space where we need to go overseas because we're just not going to be able to get that bump up in numbers to get us up to the 400, 420 that we would like to see. Why? So for me, I think a while back, it's dated now. It's got to be 7, 8 years, the Bermuda College did a survey of the uniformed services, and they asked the question, what is the most prestigious uniformed service? And I'm proud to say that Bermuda Police came out on top. Interesting enough, when they say which one would you join, we didn't fare quite as high. Unfortunately, that study didn't really unpick some of the reasons why we're perceived as the most prestigious, but in terms of willingness to join. Some of the things that I've heard anecdotally, and other officers would be able to confirm this, is there are some people that just don't think law enforcement is a career that they would like to get involved in. It's a career that does put you in conflict with members of the community. It could even be family and friends, given the closeness of our community. And some people just think that to navigate that situation is maybe more trouble than it's worth to them. Otherwise than that, that's probably the biggest reason I hear that people sort of don't consider a career in policing. But the reality is, it's not to say that doesn't happen, but it does happen kind of few and far between. And you really truly learn to navigate that issue. And there's one thing about coming into conflict when you are trying to help people, when you're trying to do the right thing, when you're trying to bring calm to a situation, when you're trying to enforce the law, you have this sort of sense of moral rightness as you're dealing with the issue. And that just, I think, better positions you as an individual having to deal with conflict, feeling like you're doing the right thing. And I would actually encourage a lot of people to give a career in policing, just to really sort of think about it. Plus, it's exciting. I mean, I say this all the time, and I'm honestly, I'm not making it up, but I love my job. I just absolutely love my job. I've said it probably every single time I'm asked the question. If I got to come around and do it again, start life all over again, I would join the Bermuda Police Service. I might do some different things within the organization sooner, because as you progress, you get exposed to different aspects of policing. And so one of my absolute favorite part of my career was the time I spent within the intelligence department. I mean, I love my job, right? But working in the intelligence department was like coming home. It was just so me how that world works. It's one of the few places in the organization where you get to know about things before they happen. You get to put measures and countermeasures in place to mitigate. And it's more it's more sort of a cat and mouse piece in terms of trying to solve a problem or address a problem, whereas the majority of other areas of policing are after something happens. whereas intelligence, on the upper end, when you're dealing with the most serious elements of criminality, sometimes you can find out what people are planning to do, and you can put steps in place that save people's lives.
Yeah. I love to hear that you love your job. So let's talk about recruiting young people to also love their job. When you were on the show in January, you mentioned that the Minister of National Security is implementing a training program to recruit youth for uniformed services. And now hearing you say that you attract a large pool, but you don't necessarily attract a qualified pool. This relates to Charles H. Jeffers II, who's asking, what are the top reasons why applicants are not being selected to join the BPS? So tell us about your strategy to recruit youth in the uniformed services, and also what specific gaps that they need to overcome to become successful.
So the reality is I don't actually think there's a top reason. There are just multiple reasons. So what happens is you kind of start in the recruiting process. You're going to have things like a physical fitness test. Now, when people marginally fail the physical fitness test, we certainly offer them, advice in terms of what they can do to train and improve their fitness. Hopefully, in short order, we're going to revive our noontime training sessions within the organization, and we would invite potential candidates or people that are marginal in their fitness to join that lunchtime training session. And then you've got, a basic kind of aptitude test in terms of reading, writing, and or English, math, and general sort of comprehension. There are things that people can do to raise their level of competency in that area. I don't really think it's the role for the police to train that, but there are a number of courses available in Bermuda, particularly from the Bermuda College as one that can help raise people's aptitude around that. So then you've got health, a health screening, and that's one of the issues I have kind of commented. Well, actually, it started from the doctor. We have one doctor that's been around for quite some time, and he's just sort of saying, listen, I'm seeing a greater prevalence of issues like unregulated diabetes, early indications or significant early indications of coronary heart failure, so it's diabetes, morbid obesity, just seeing a lot more lifestyle disorders, which will kind of prevent people, left unchecked or uncorrected, would prevent people from sort of making it through into the organization. And then the last one is psychological. And I've recently commented on that I think the levels of trauma that we've experienced over the past decade are impacting young people to the degree that there are some of them that present, and when they go through the psych assessment, the level of trauma that they've experienced really from what the science is saying would make them unsuitable to become a police officer. So there are a variety of reasons, that people don't make it through. We used to do one and done, like if you failed one test and you couldn't progress on. We now are trying to take a broader perspective and saying, well, if they've failed this one area and they pass everything else, then maybe we can help them over this hurdle. And it depends what that kind of hurdle it is. But we really do, sort of try and help people get over the hurdles that we think they can get over. And so if you wanted to talk about, I don't have recent detail on the cadet program. I'm calling it cadet program, the Ministry of National Security cadet program. But what happened is that people, there was really low enrollment or application for the cadet program. And I just never understood that. I mean, as a parent, you would have the opportunity to have your child earn a salary. We pay for Bermuda College, and when you're successful at your associate's degree, we actually pay for you to continue to get a degree, overseas. Where there's some significant funding that would be allocated on a yearly basis, but we just weren't getting the numbers. And also internally, because our numbers were dropping, our ability to support that program just is in jeopardy. Like, we just could not support that program today with our staffing numbers. Simply couldn't do that. So all the uniform services, because it's not just the Bermuda Police, right? You're going to see other uniform services go overseas recruiting, right? All the uniform services are kind of struggling to get people through, and they're all the same issues. So we do generally the same kind of testing, or at least groups of different types of testing. Like, for example, customs math might be a little bit higher. Fire may have a science component that the Bermuda Police just doesn't have, or their general science math, the level might be higher in order to get through. But we still have a physical, a psychological, which is the same, some type of aptitude testing to make it through. So we came up with this notion of having a Ministry of National Security cadet program, for lack of a better word. Now, I know the minister has recently given some information about that, but I just think that question is best directed to him to get the detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the perception of the police. Globally, levels of trust in the police force and governmental institutions generally have declined, and this is a really hard reality to deny in Bermuda. With the low number of police reserves and the news about corruption, such as several officers being investigated for misconduct, is this a serious problem for you, and what can be done or is currently being done to address this?
So I can't remember the website that annually publishes levels of trust and in globally. I can't, because I have occasionally dipped into that website. So it is interesting when you look at some of the events on the political stage. I think in particular globally, just some events I think have really begun to erode, generally speaking, the public's trust and confidence in institutions. And there are very few institutions that have, escaped that. And without a doubt, Bermuda Police has to cope with, I see global trustworthiness index. The Bermuda Police Service, that's the environment in which we sit also. And without a doubt, publicly, there have been a number of incidents where police officers are charged, criminally, or have misconduct issues. So one of the things, we tend to be quite transparent in our dealings. So we, in fact, publish, and you would imagine, you could also appreciate that there's a drive from the media to know and expose these kinds of things. So I don't think as an organization we're any less trustworthy than some of the other institutions. The reality is, when you have people, power, and positions, you will have corruption. And if you don't have it, I would begin to ask, are you looking? Because if you're not, if you're not looking, you won't find it. Well, we look. We have an entire department, a group of people that are dedicated to professional standards. And recently this year, we are spinning up an anti-corruption capability. So professional standards really primarily deals with things after they've happened. They also try and remind officers of what they're supposed to do. But anti-corruption is really that sort of upstream. Where are my risks? How can I mitigate those risks? How can I identify maybe more risky or officers at risk, and try to mitigate things from happening early on, or identify that things are happening early on. So you're going to hear more about that from the Bermuda Police, because we're actively looking, because we have standards of professional behavior that we enforce, and there's a fair degree of transparency and therefore accountability in how we sort of manage when people step over the line.
Okay, excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing those updates. Now that we've talked about the BPS and what you guys can do, what role does the community play in ensuring a safer Bermuda for everyone to live?
So, I've said it quite a bit in my when I do news releases, that solving crime and dealing with crime works best when the community and the police work hand in hand. And the reality is, there's no crime that is solved, or very, 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 very few crimes that are solved without the assistance of a member of the community. In fact, you know what? There are zero, because at the very least, it requires a complainant. So solving all crime requires the assistance of the community. When we have major events, like fatalities, it really does take people sort of telling us what happened. Few crimes occur where forensic evidence alone is going to result in a conviction. So that's on the solving crime piece, but also I think on the sort of crime prevention. So telling us about things that seem unusual to individuals, alerting us to when people are up to no good, just generally providing information. When we think about solving crimes or dealing with crime, we think about what we call the problem analysis triangle, and it's a triangle. At the top you have let's say a victim. On one side of the triangle you'll have offenders, and on another side of the triangle you'll have the location. And in policing, we try and address all three facets of that triangle to reduce the likelihood of crime occurring, and or to increase the likelihood of a successful prosecution, if you'd like. So for a member of the public, we think about, let's say, burglary, or back in the day, breaking in, house breaking. There are some times where houses are left insecure. In 2024, you need to lock your doors, and if your residence is secured, probably somebody who's just wandering through a neighborhood is going to go somewhere else, or maybe not even in that neighborhood if buildings are secure. So what we can do as members of the public in terms of crime prevention and keeping ourselves safe, is really important. And we try to share that message, particularly after people have been the victims of burglary. And also we do have a program where we are sharing crime prevention advice, generally as an example. The other thing is good choices. So you'll see a media release from me where you had members of the public, and we talked about it. Thank the Lord that we got through Ernesto, fairly unscathed. Some damage, no loss of life. That it was going to take a little while to sort of work through. But we had people in Horseshoe Bay swimming, right, on the approach of that hurricane. Now, I get thrill seekers and all that, but it's about making good choices. So the reality is, if things can look fine in the water, and you just find yourself sucked out and hard to swim back in, right? And then there may be a need to sort of rescue people. So particularly topical on the back end of Hurricane Ernesto, we had people swimming in Horseshoe Bay on the very lead up to the hurricane, and we had people out and about, during the eye. And the eye, we had the eye pass for, I think it was like around 3 hours. It was quite a long time. The eye pass, it builds a false sense of security, and you can easily get caught out in that, depending like how far you've traveled away from your home to do whatever it is that you're doing. So making good choices also can go a long way to sort of reduce crime, prevent crime.
Excellent. What do you believe the police can do better to improve with crime prevention?
So I think a key role of police, you talk about prevention, right? But a key role of police is in catching and convicting. And what we do know, what the research is very clear about, is that it is a disproportionately small amount of individuals that commit the vast majority of crime. So we put a lot of energy and effort into targeting prolific offenders, in the full spectrum of offending, right? So if we're talking about bike thefts, burglaries, fatalities, firearms incidents, we put a lot of energy into targeting that small group of individuals that cause the highest amount of crime. The other pieces around for us is doing our best to build community confidence, so that the people can feel confident in us, that they can trust us to come and give us information, because as confidence in the community increases, the amount of information that we have increases. So I think for me, those are two things. And lastly, I think getting our numbers up so we can be more visible in the community can be helpful. If not in actually reducing the amount of crime, it will encourage feelings of safety. And again, what the research is very clear about is that the fear of crime is far more impactful than actual crime.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. As commissioner, you've made a really strong commitment to combating Bermuda's epidemic of domestic violence, which I especially, and I'm sure everyone in Bermuda does appreciate. Could you tell us how operations have changed since your commitment and what is still in progress?
Okay, so I've sort of publicly started to say that for maybe about 2 years now. And it's not that it hasn't been important or hasn't been something that we put energy and effort into, but as a result of, actually it's been 1 2 years, just as a result of some of the conversations that I've had with people that work in that space, they were really impactful. And I really just sort of personally walked away with, we have some room to grow here. We've got some room to do better. So since that time, I've put some energy. It's a little dated now, but I put a little energy into ensuring that that there is and it's functioning a multi-agency risk assessment center, and that's a multi-agency group that comes together to examine the higher risk domestic abuse situations and to work together to to sort of deal with that. So, and it's not just the criminality aspect, it's the welfare pieces, the safety pieces that are involved in that. So that's one thing, training for officers. The other thing is that every Monday and Friday, there's a commissioner's briefing. And at that commissioner's briefing, you've got the senior level of the organization that are reporting out on what's happened in the intervening periods. One of the things is domestic abuse. So particularly intimate partner domestic abuse, right? That's probably where there is some of the greatest vulnerability. And they report to me basically sort of what has happened, who's in charge, what are we doing, whether or not an individual was arrested where there was reasonable grounds to suspect. And one of the things that I'm fairly recently shifting is a more positive duty to respond. One of the challenges that we have in the domestic abuse space is that, first of all, you've got victims that are in a very vulnerable state. And it is very vulnerable because, intimate partner abuse, you're going to have things like you may have children involved. You may have, getting housing in Bermuda is particularly difficult. You can't just up and go to a new location. You may have financial burdens. All these constraining factors just help to, plus you just got the whole emotional aspects that's around relationships. So you've got all this cocktail of vulnerability. And, when police officers attend scene where there's reasonable grounds to suspect that an assault or a crime has been committed, I'm really saying to the organization that they need to be leaning into that, and they have a positive duty to act. Historically, we may have asked a complainant, do you wish to prosecute this matter? Well, you've just shown up at and those are legitimate questions, but the timing of them, I'm saying, is not appropriate when you're showing up at a scene, a domestic abuse scene. So the first thing is, has a crime been committed, and what is the appropriate response in the face of having reasonable grounds to suspect that a crime has been committed and reasonable grounds to suspect that a particular individual has that committed? If that's the case, my expectation is that officers exercise the full range of their lawful powers, and in most cases that's going to mean arrest. Now, it could be that later on there's a formal withdrawal or a simple, I don't wish this matter is prosecuted, but you're better to have that conversation and ask that question in the cool light of day than in the aftermath of a difficult situation where fear could be playing a role there. The other thing is, I'm really working hard to ensure that our domestic abuse officer position is staffed and that person is well trained, because they're the individual that's going to be responsible for a lot of the personal follow up in the more difficult domestic abuse situations.
All right.
Sorry, that was a long answer.
No worries. I just want to hit the audience. We'll get through to your questions and comments in a second. So we understand it's an engaging show, so we'll include you in the conversation for sure. But Commissioner, one of the things that always comes up, especially after unfortunate incident involving murder, which we had quite a few between May 24th and early July, but it seems like the crackdown is usually something that inconveniences the majority of the public. And many in the community just don't like the idea of being convenienced, especially when they're on the way to work. But why is a strategy like this something that the Bermuda Police Service feels works?
Well, I think sometimes it is about reassuring calm, reassuring the public that we are out here, that they are safe. We are consistently having a targeted approach. So, I mean, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since we're doing like stopping all kinds of vehicles on their way to work. I mean, several years. Now, we may be positioned at like Barnes Corner, for example. We may be positioned at Barnes Corner, where we're observing traffic. We're trying to calm traffic. We're looking at license numbers and trying to identify, is the driver likely to have a warrant there, by just, sort of running the license plate in our system, checking for a number. So we do those kinds of things, but it's not like we're stopping every vehicle. The other thing is when tensions rise, and certainly we have the numbers, you're going to see us engage in stopping and searching on the areas where criminality is likely to occur. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's a much rarer instance where, like, on your way to work, coming into town, that there's a significant police operation in place, because you're quite right. There's a balance to be struck between sort of inconveniencing the public and taking efforts to keep people safe.
Indeed. You mentioned a couple minutes ago that majority of the crime is basically committed by very few people, right?
Yep.
We've had Assistant Commissioner Daniels on, who said this many times before, in terms of human rights laws exist, getting people to understand, you just can't go and harass people, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Well, can you explain why police are unable, at least it seems this way from the outside, to target people with like a 24/7 surveillance, where pretty much it'd be impossible for them to do something? Like, you mentioned the numbers, which obviously comes to mind. Well, they just don't have the resources to be able to surveil the number of people involved. But what else is stopping the police from? Because some of the conversations you hear is, well, they need to do something to make these young people uncomfortable doing antisocial things. But break it down to us how that actually works, because we only see what we see and then experience what we experience based on what actually happens.
Well, that's a lot to unpick. Let me just kind of let me hit a couple of things. Okay. So first of all, we do try to do a targeted approach to let's say stop and search, right? So we just, back in the day, we might have hit like as high as 15,000 stop and searches in a year, right? We were just nowhere near that. And that was during the height of the, 2012 kinds of firearms incidents. And also, to your point, there's been a lot of question, not just in Bermuda, but just generally around the value of stop and search. And depending on which researcher you look at, you can find mixed results. And in fact, that's what you could say. There's mixed results about the impact of stop and search. And the difficult question that I will sometimes get asked is, well, how many guns have you recovered in stop and search? And that number is very low. It really is very low. The amount of knives we're starting to see when we stop and search, that's going up. So, people are carrying knives, and what we're being told is this, for their protection, and they are being found in stop and searches. but there's a balance to be struck. Like, we have the freedom of movement, right? That's a fundamental right. You have the freedom from arbitrary arrest. You have the freedom from sort of arbitrary search, right? So when we exercise these powers, they need to be where it's proportionate and necessary. Well, obviously lawful. So there is this balance to be struck, and when you look at some of the other jurisdictions where police officers are harassing people or making people's lives or exercising stop and search in a much more frequent basis, and you look at the relationships that they have with the community, there are some places where police are just not wanted, even in the face of significant criminality. That is not the case in Bermuda, and that's because I fundamentally think how we treat people it strikes that right balance. So I think that sort of speaks to the human rights sort of perspective. In terms of like surveillance, so we can't just arbitrarily surveil people. We have to go through what's called if investigators want to put a surveillance operation in place, they have to do what's called a directed surveillance application, and an assistant commissioner will review that application to ensure that it's lawful, proportionate, and necessary, that collateral intrusion is being minimized, and the like. And we do that. Like, to be fair, a bit of what you're saying is done. So there are individuals, there are times when we know tensions are high, and we have a reasonable suspicion about who's likely to be involved in, let's say, reprisals, and we do put that energy into those kinds of efforts. Now, just imagine, if you will, just how resource intensive that is. So a surveillance team, if you like, that's 8 people, right? And they to properly do that kind of work, it's 8 people plus around one individual. So just imagine, like that's like the complete upper end of what we could do to respond. And sometimes, we are doing that. And not sometimes, we are doing that. But it's not the kind of tactic that for a number of reasons, it's resource intensive. In each occasion, you really do need to justify the lawfulness, proportionality, and necessity. So that it's not something that can be done every day. Plus, and so what we try and do is really engage the community, because the community really are the eyes and ears of the police service, right? And when they share that information, fighting crime is so much easier. So one of our key roles is to really try and build the trust and confidence with the community that when you share that information, it's going to be kept confidential. And that continue to remind them that it's important, to share that information.
All right. I want to go to the audience real quickly. Got quite a few questions. Rosalind Famous, she's asking, could the police release a list of suggested resources that will help prepare for cadets prior to trying out for the program?
So we do provide some information, like some examples of test questions. The process is set out, and I believe you can find that on our website. I hope somebody's listening, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just know the material's there. Like, you might have to make an application and then you're given the information. I'm off the top of my head, I'm not sure which one is correct, but there is some information to give you an indication of what what's involved.
Alrighty. Charles H. Jefferson II is asking, are there any success stories that can be highlighted where an applicant was denied for whatever reason, but have come back to successfully join the service?
So yeah, definitely. So I said, just generally speaking, on any one course, I feel confident to say, yeah, we're going to get 15 people, right? So now there's a big course to have there's a big push, to have a course of 25. I don't think we're going to get 25 locally, even having expanded the pool from just Bermudian to lawful residents. But one of the things that we see is that there are people apply sometimes 1, 2, and 3 times. Like, that is common, and on their second or third time, they get through. That is very common. Or they will have failed the fitness test, and then come back again and they pass. Harder ones to come back again and pass be the psych assessment. You kind of are who you are by the time you're applying to become a police officer, so that's a little bit harder to sort of come back from. And the medical portion, it's a little bit harder to come back from that from that one, certainly in a short space of time, because obviously the doctor, and there is a standard, like it's not just finger in the air. I think this should disqualify and that should be okay. There's actually a medical standard about what suitability for a police officer would be. That one's probably a little bit harder to come back, but I don't think that there are many people that are ultimately disqualified on the medical grounds.
Alrighty, Karen.
Sorry, geez, and I forgot the most obvious one. Previous convictions. So we do vetting, right? So if you have previous convictions, or if you just really have, like, for example, if you have got a couple of incidents where you are the offender, not even necessarily a crime, but there's been 2-3 calls where you are the offender in a domestic abuse. That's a hard road that's you're not likely to get through. So we look at all of that kinds of information to make our decisions, because we need people that are suitable.
Indeed. Karen Simmons asking, does the BPS, through the parish constables, offer policing and safety sessions for neighborhoods and organizations with young people?
Yes. So, I mean, basically, if you contacted the parish constables, we could tailor a program. So we will do cyber crime kinds of, online good social media skills or safe social media skills, crime prevention in the context of a location or a building, that kind of thing. Anti-violence types of program or response. And as our numbers go up, I really do want to be able to dedicate more resources to community policing and the schools.
Alrighty. We've got another one. This interesting one based on Teray's question earlier. Charles A. Jefferson second asking, are the reported numbers for domestic abuse declining or increasing in Bermuda? How does that relate to other jurisdictions of a similar size?
Okay, so I don't have that data to hand right now. What I will say is that very, very much anecdotally, it feels like domestic abuse is becoming more violent. So, in the past, it would be sort of not just, but the majority of the incidents would be pushing and shoving and things like that. And I am seeing a trend where the nature of what's occurring in those situations is more violent. I just think that is a very worrying trend right now. We have some challenges actually in reporting domestic abuse. So the thing that, in policing, right? We have this, it's even a 10 call, we have a 10 series code. It's a 1061. And that just means a domestic, right? So a domestic could be a father and son. It could be a mother and daughter. It could be, people within the same household. They're just more in the same household, and there's some kind of relationship there. And our system, our records management system, doesn't really allow us to adequately capture the detail or the nuance of the type of call. So the call or the type of domestic, the context of the domestic abuse that I'm most interested in is what we call intimate partner domestic abuse. So we're on the cusp of getting a new records management system, which is going to help us to really capture that detail. So I have information about a 1061. Like that was the call that we tended, but it doesn't really break down like what is the intimate abuse. You literally have to go into every single record to see, is this like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, brother, sister, son, father. You literally have to go into everyone to, I think, create the richer picture around the data that we so desperately need. But that is going to come, but it's just not tomorrow.
All right. And Bermuda Police Service on Facebook did share to Ms. Famous, thank you for your query information about becoming a member of BPS is available on the website, bermudapolice.bm. Bishop, before you head out, what would you say to reassure the public that the police are working hard to, build and, police a safer Bermuda?
Well, I mean, the reality is we are doing that. We talked a little bit about corruption just generally. I think one of the points I would like to make is that the overwhelming vast sort of complaint that we get from the community is incivility. Right, so it's actually not members of the public that are reporting corruption. It's us discovering it, investigating it, and dealing appropriately with us. What the community sort of says we really need to better is our interpersonal skills, like literally incivility. People feel like the officer was rude to them in an offense encounter. In the domestic abuse space, one of the things that we're working on getting better at is just the interpersonal skills about how an officer makes a victim feel when they respond. Like, does the victim come away with this sense that that officer cares about my outcome, cares about me, wants the best for me, wants to protect me, that we communicate that in our interactions? And that's one of the things that we're working on. So I think, so in response to that, how can the community trust us? One, our actual incidents of, negative things are bad. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. And when we tell the public, we're very often the ones who are discovering it. It would be, we could keep it a secret, but we don't. We say, hey, this really bad thing has happened. And we want you to know about it so that you can trust us, so you can have a degree of confidence in us that we're actually out there looking, that we have our professional standards, and we're working to ensure that officers do the things that they're supposed to do. And it needs to be said, the overwhelming vast majority of officers, their hearts in their job and in their community, and they're doing the right things by the community.
Commissioner, thank you so much. If I had it my way, we'd have someone from BPS on a monthly basis just to share updates, because there's so many things. I'm thankful Teray asked about domestic abuse, because we can have a whole show about that. We can have a show about how you're going about reducing collisions, not accidents, collisions on Bermuda's roads. Obviously dealing with firearms. It's just so much more, and education and recruitment. So many things you touched on today could be conversations in themselves, but I'm just grateful that you trust our platform enough to engage with our audience, have these conversations, and looking forward to having you back. Again, as always, in the fall, as we head towards the holidays and what people can do. Unfortunately, during the holidays, we have traditionally had, Bermuda, there's a Christmas party list that goes around, and people getting vehicles after attending these parties. So there's things we can focus on around that. But I just want to thank you. I really appreciate you making time for us. And please keep in touch. If there's anything we can do better on this show to ensure safer Bermuda, just reach out and let us know.
Thank you.
No, I thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate questions that are sometimes difficult, sometimes, insightful, that really want to get to the heart of the issues. As an individual, it's important for me to be transparent and accountable. And that means engaging around difficult subjects, right? Things that are uncomfortable. So I really just thank you very much. I'll take this opportunity just to really express my gratitude and thanks to the women and men that come to work to help make Bermuda safer every single day. For many of them, this is a passion. It's not just a job. It's not just a paycheck. It's something I was speaking to. I was actually about to be woman sergeant just the other day, and she said to me, I love my job, and it was just really interesting just to have that conversation with her about just the joy she gets from the job, what it means to her as an individual, and just that sort of general satisfaction, which I think is really, really important. When you find a job you really like, you never work a day in your life or something. I can't remember the expression, it's gone from me right now, but yeah, I think there are many officers that just, if they're paid cut was cut in half. Not that I would ever suggest that negotiation. They would still continue to do that, and that is the level of passion that many bring to the service. And just in closing, right? If people have sort of questions or complaints, or even good news, I love good news stories. I'm easily reached. I don't know if you can flash it up on the screen, but my email address is cop@bps.bm. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. I see every one of those emails. Maybe my staff officer that responds, but we really like to ensure that when people raise things with us, that we try and follow through with them. cop@bps.bm. cop@bps.bm.
cop@bps.bm. Commissioner, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Don't go anywhere because you'll be in the back to see what this trivia question is today. All right?
Excellent. Yep. Thank you. Yep.
All right, Commissioner Darrin Simons. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break. 2 minutes, 21 seconds. We'll be back with the Daily Play, and we'll wrap it up as well. Stick with us.
Great news. Our Beat the Heat special has been extended through August 31st while supplies last. Keep cool with our further discounted Carrier high-efficiency mini-split units, plus enjoy 10% off Comfort Zone oscillating fans, Comfort Air units 8,000, 10,000, 12,000, and Hunter ceiling fans when you pay with cash. Don't miss out on these hot deals to stay cool.
Did you know 3 out of 4 people say that they have a good understanding of life insurance? But do they really? When asked how much the yearly cost would be for a 20-year, $250,000 level term life insurance policy for a healthy 30-year-old, 80% overestimated the cost by 5 times the amount. Ready for this? The true cost for that policy is about $220 a year. That's as little as 66 cents a day, or $20 a month. So let's put this into perspective. Compared to other monthly costs, isn't getting life insurance a no-brainer? If you can trim back on some of these expenses just a little bit, it will allow you to dedicate the savings toward an affordable life insurance policy. Contact one of our life insurance agents today to find the right policy for you.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All right, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to Commissioner Darrin Simons for joining us for another important, informative, and engaging conversation. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. It's a remember win, so a bit of history for you, Teray.
Okay.
All right. What year were you born?
2000.
Wow, you were born in this century. And Maya was 98 or 97?
97.
All right. Okay, here we go. Here's the question. I want to see if the audience gets this as well.
So it's not in my century then?
It's a remember when. So we're going history.
Okay.
Bit longer than that. All right. So you got one hint.
Good.
Teray, when did the Bermuda Police Force change to the Bermuda Police Service?
1970s, maybe? 1980s? 1995.
You saw Charles put that.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. Yes, it was 1995. Now, I want to do something real quickly. I've never done this, but I want to bring the commissioner back in if he's okay to explain that, because I actually, if I'm not mistaken, I remember in the mid-90s, I was in high school, and I remember talk being said that the name change was due to force seeming, I guess, mean or a bit aggressive, and service seeming friendlier. So I'm going to try to bring the commissioner back in to explain this difference. Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. That's just memory. So Commissioner, thank you for hanging around.
Yeah. Yeah, well, funny, I weren't sure. I had 1997. It was Colin Coxall. I had 1997. So Mr. Jeffers is right in 1995. Well done. Well done. Yeah, so basically, it was just to reflect the change in ethos, right? Like, when you think of a force, you think of an occupying force. You think about things that are done to people, right? And just the whole notion of service is that we are there to provide a service. We're there to assist the community. We're there to work alongside the community. You don't think of working alongside a force, right? You think of it is something that is being done to you. It's highly coercive. And again, I often sort of compare Bermuda to other jurisdictions, and you just see how there's movements to defund the police. They just absolutely don't want the police. If I had $1 for every time the community is saying we want to see more of you, I'd be a very rich person. And I think it's the nature of how we do policing, and you could argue maybe that we started on that. Well, actually, I would argue that just generally Bermuda police has been community oriented just by the very size of the island and the tightness of our community. So, throughout, unless we were bringing people in, everybody knows everybody, right? So you can't be an idiot as a cop for too long. You just can't. Right, because people know you, they know where you live, your family with someone, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that was the ethos for the name change.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sticking around, Commissioner, and for that explanation. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Teray, did you know that? It was forced to service?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. I remember growing up, force was used, and then in high school changed, and I was just like, But hearing the explanation, okay, it makes sense, right? So, but it also makes you understand there's so much in a name, right?
Absolutely. And you know what I was thinking? I was like, okay, maybe 1970s, because that was right after there was a lot of movement around desegregation, the theater boycott. So I'm like, maybe they changed the name to appease and, appear like a bit more open and community oriented. Yeah, 1995. Okay.
Yeah. I am. Oh, and Charles said that's the year he got married. So yeah, that's why he remembered, Yeah. You got to have something. Well, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on first. I mean, awesome conversation with the commissioner. Final thoughts on the, everything from recruitment to the role that the community and police have to play together.
I hope that the Ministry of National Security and the Bermuda Police Service is successful in their recruitment efforts for youth, because it is really important. So I hope whatever strategy they come up with to attract youth to the uniformed services works, because they are essential workers. During the pandemic, there was a lot of, I think, community support and community appreciation for essential workers, and uniformed services is an essential service, probably one of the most essential. So I hope that they're successful in their efforts. And I also would love to see some more resources. I know that the commissioner said that they have some on the website, just to make sure that they're attracting quality people, because it is kind of sobering to hear that, most people don't pass either the fitness test or the psychological test. And he said that there's been a lot of trauma in the community that has affected the way that applicants show up. That was very sobering. It's always not good to hear. But it's reflective of the times. But I'm also hopeful. I mean, the commissioner has a really charismatic presence, and that's really good. I think Charles H. Jeffers has said that he's a good display of leadership, which I agree. So I think we're in a good space. Hopefully we can see some kind of progress.
Yeah, when I was growing up, Teray, there were a lot of non-Bermudian police officers, British, Scottish, English, and then many from different islands throughout the Caribbean. We don't see that. It doesn't seem we see that as much anymore. I was going to give a joke to the commissioner, tongue in cheek, and just say, well, why don't we conscript some police officers, right? We were fine regiment. Why not, right? But it's a problem that I don't wish on anyone, because it's a needed service. It's an essential service, right? And I don't have the answers, but I'm encouraged having the conversations so that we can get up to a place where we have the solutions to what it is that we're trying to do. It is a thankless job. And, Charles mentioned earlier, I was thinking, I saw a picture of Gary Moreno somewhere. I think his wife might have shared it on Facebook. These people are not able to be with their families during like hurricanes and stuff. Last month when we had Assistant Commissioner Daniels on, we spoke about like the psychological impact on officers when they have to go to scenes with, people, whether it's, loss of life through murder or, collisions and the like. It's a thankless job. It's not easy, right? For me in particular, as I said, I grew up around police officers. I thought it was something I'd want to do until I realized at the time I was too short and, told I was probably too nice. But also at the time, I did not agree. As I got older, I didn't agree with many of the laws that I would have had to, respect and abide by. It's a lot to it. And I don't think they get enough credit. And this is not to say that people who have concerns with law enforcement are not, their concerns are not valid. I just think in a small community like Bermuda, I have conversations with people outside of Bermuda all the time, and they're shocked that we have some of the issues we have because we're such a small community. Mm-hmm. And I go back to what I said a couple of weeks, and I think Desmond Crockle had said it. He ran for the Free Democratic Alliance, FDM, last election. He said, Bermudians love to gossip, but they don't love to talk. And I think that's one of the issues we have just in general in terms of community policing. One of the things I love that the police do when they are looking for witnesses is they say, well, speak to a police officer you may know. Because we all know a police officer, know someone. They're our neighbors. They live among us.
Yeah.
I like that approach. But I think the expectation should be as high on us, the community, as it is the Bermuda Police Service.
It is.
I really hope that people understand that the expectation that they put on the Bermuda Police Service, it should be greater on us as individuals.
Yeah, exactly, Jamal. And I know towards the end when we brought the commissioner back in, he mentioned the defund the police movement. And I feel like the defund the police movement, it's not entirely saying we don't want any police officers, but we want shared responsibility of safety. It's not, we don't want the police to exist, but we want the police to coexist in some way where we are trusting each other. And oftentimes I wonder, like, yes, Bermuda is small, but I wonder if that can be a good thing. Like maybe being policed by your uncle is good because you have an established level of trust. I know that it's difficult, but I think we often talk about how it can be a negative thing because of backlash, gossip. But what about the ways in which it can be good?
Teray, remember when I said that we can have a police on monthly and have conversations? This is probably the longest show since Sir joined earlier this year or last year. We've got a rule, but I appreciate you ending it on that and always adding clarity. All right, you've got some daily inspiration for us?
I do, but before I give you the daily inspiration, can I go to this comment from Dexter Smith, who says that the commissioner is impressive, although I would beg to differ that some idiots have been cops for a long time. Interesting new co-host, Cuz. Does that sound like he's throwing shade? Interesting.
All right, cousin Dexter. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, cousin. He's hilarious. The editor there. The editor was also the first guest on the Daily Hour when we launched on day one, first episode. And that gives me the opportunity to say we will be celebrating 1,000 episodes soon. If you have not subscribed on our website, we can give you 1,000 reasons why you should. Maybe $1,000 worth of reasons why you should subscribe today. Yes, let's have some daily inspiration now.
Yep. The first reason is the daily inspiration that comes from Maya's new best friend, Serena Williams, who says that she says that a champion is not defined by how many wins, but how they recover from their loss.
I love that. Sir,
Maya's new bestie.
It's always it's how you bounce back from those defeats. I agree. Well, folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Lenders, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow with our guest. Well, we'll tell you who our guest is a bit later.
Stay tuned.
I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.